Welcome back. Well, Dr. Anthony Fauci is facing a grilling today on Capitol Hill, set to appear before the Senate Homeland Security Committee after a subpoena from Committee Chairman Rand Paul. I spoke with the Kentucky Senator Paul about today's hearing just last week. Watch.
I expect he will not tell the truth. I expect him to dissemble. I expect him to filibuster, but I don't expect him to be honest. We have the evidence now that he destroyed records, that he encouraged others to destroy records. We have evidence and the opinion of many of the people who worked around with him that the research that was funded in China and Wuhan was dangerous, gain-of-function research.
Lying to Congress is a felony. Will there be any accountability for lies?
Yes, if that he lies during the hearing, that's a new lie, and the pardon won't cover that.
Senator Paul also released Dr. Fauci's private diary this week, where he detailed the origins of COVID, the lockdowns, and his own newfound fame as a TV doctor, how he wrote it. Joining me now is Florida Senator Ashley Moody. She sits on the Senate Homeland Security Committee. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know you'll have a chance to question Fauci today. What are you expecting to come out of this hearing?
Well, you know, if you'll remember, Maria, before I became a senator, I was Florida's Attorney General. We were the only state in the nation where I was able to organize a grand jury to look into some of the misinformation and false direction that was given to the American people. And they made findings on lockdowns, masks, distancing, and found that much of it wasn't even based on scientific evidence. Fauci has a lot to answer for us. He said in his own words, he was becoming the most popular human in the country and was the face of this. So whether it's mass lockdowns, distancing, herd immunity, gain-of-function research, his involvement in covering up America's participation in that gain-of-function research, he has already made statements that contradicted himself during that time, and he's got to be held accountable. One of the reasons I came to the Senate was to restore faith of the American people in their government, and this is one of the ways we do that. We give them the information, and we hold people accountable. What I'm most concerned about in this hearing is whether the Democrats will even show up and participate. If you'll remember, we just had a hearing in the same committee on fraud, and they didn't show up. And so when we start getting close to the mark, when we start uncovering some of the things that happened under the last administration, their game plan seems to be yell partisan and then play dead like possums. Yeah. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens today.
Do you think that pardon that Joe Biden gave Fauci hours before President Trump took the oath of office on January 20th, at the beginning of President Trump's second term, do you think that pardon is legitimate? Was it the auto pen or was it Joe Biden? And you just heard Rand Paul say Fauci has already destroyed evidence, and he may lie under oath, and he already did lie under oath, according to Rand Paul. What is the impact here?
Well, let's break that down. First of all, whether or not the pardon is legitimate, whether or not that's an auto pen signature, that's one issue, right? The second is, if it is a legitimate pardon, and again, this was such a sweeping pardon, it goes back to 2014. I mean, the only other kind of sweeping pardon that was given was to Biden, or Hunter Biden. You nailed that when you pointed that out. It's incredible. So the question would be, if this is a legitimate pardon, what does this cover? Rand Paul says, well, this wouldn't cover future crimes, meaning if he lied to the Senate, it wouldn't cover that. He's correct. But what we also need to remember, I was a state AG. I just told you, Florida has been the only state where I organized a grand jury to look into these falsities that were fed to the American people. If you'll remember, last year, the state AGs came out when we decided to start looking to this, and kudos to Rand Paul for not giving up. Now we've found gain-of-function research by America, what Fauci did to cover that up. Kudos to Rand Paul. Yeah. But now those state AGs came out last year and said, we're going to look into this. So it's left to be seen. They said, give us all your information, Congress, and we'll look into it. It'll be seen. Maybe they launch their own grand juries and bring state charges.
Well, it's just incredible to me, because I remember on January 20th, at the start of President Trump's new term, I'm thinking, why is Joe Biden pardoning Anthony Fauci all the way back to 2014? I mean, the severity and wide, broad pardon to cover him should anything happen. What did Joe Biden, know at that point? It's just incredible. But look, we got to move on. I want to get your take on what gets done in the final couple of weeks here or days that you have left before the August recess there in the Senate. The president is turning up the pressure on Majority Leader John Thune, urging him to keep the Senate in Washington until the Save America Act passes. Senator, we spoke about the holdup on this legislation earlier this month, and here's what you told me. Watch this.
I have absolutely personally spoken to leadership about the need to get the Save America Act back to the floor. And I think this is not only important for the future success of this country. I think it is also important for the American people to see which senators are standing up to preserving our elections and this great country. It is so important. And so absolutely, I've spoken to leadership about that.
So you would support...
And I would be willing to stay in Washington with no recess until we got that back to the floor.
So, Senator, here we are. 11 of your colleagues are also calling for the recess to be canceled. Do you think the Senate will stay in Washington, and do you expect the Save America Act to get over the finish line?
Well, I have continued those conversations, and I'm so excited that since I made that statement that we should stay in Washington, so many of my colleagues have stood up and said they will not agree or consent to a recess unless we get the Save America Act back to the floor. I mean, the American people want a vote. I can't tell you how many people in Florida, no matter where I go, want the Senate to vote on this. And so, we're not going to agree to a recess. We're going to push forward. I will continue to have discussions with leadership on why this is so important. Again, like I told you when we started this conversation this morning, Maria, my goal here in the Senate is to restore trust by the people in their government, that their government is working with them, for them, with their best interests in mind every day. And we've got to get this vote going.
Who's against? Who can you tell us is actually against having citizenship proof to vote? What's the problem with showing that you're a citizen?
I think there's no problem. I don't think there should be a debate. I stood on the floor on Monday night and tried to pass it by unanimous consent. And a Democrat showed up and objected. I dared them to, and they did. But here it is. To know who is objecting, we need the vote. The American people are owed that. So we've got to get this back to the floor so the American people can see who's voting up or down on voter ID.
That's worthwhile. Senator, great to see you this morning. Thank you. We'll be watching all of that
today
and beyond. Ashley Moody joining us this morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back.